Greetings, fellow gamers, and Happy New Year to you all. I hope you got a chance to rest over the holidays and have recharged enough in order to grab 2026 by the horns. On that note, given that I recently featured the best Metroidvanias that made 2025 a fantastic year for the genre, I figured it would be a good idea to kick things off by presenting to you the upcoming titles that are aiming to make 2026 even more sublime. It truly is a good time to be a fan of Metroidvania games, and the 22 that follow are proof enough to convince even the strongest skeptics. Before we begin, I do wish to clarify that this list contains games that, as of the time of writing this script, have been confirmed to varying degrees of certainty as 2026 releases, and not games that we hope will get a 2026 release date. So, with that having been said, let's dive into it. Bloodstained: The Scarlet Engagement is the long-awaited sequel to the fantastic Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. The narrative takes place in England during the 16th century. A vast ethereal castle under the control of demon lord Illyia looms over the land, terrorizing it with a constant onslaught of demonic forces, with each effort of the kingdom and church to infiltrate and destroy it having ended in total failure as each expedition has been annihilated. You take on the dual role of Leonard Brandon, a knight of the church, and Alexander Keiteler, a knight of the kingdom and sole survivor of the original expedition against the evil fortress, as they both launch an all-out attack against it in the hopes of destroying the demon lord and finally bringing peace across the realm. What's interesting here is that the game allows you to play as both Leonard and Alexander simultaneously, which gives way to a combined approach to combat that results in unique offensive combos, including some awesome finishing moves. Staying a bit on combat, here you'll get to experience what is known as the Epiphany system, which will have you unlocking unique attacks during battle, resulting in unpredictable skirmishes. In addition, the Scarlet Engagement not only boasts the largest Bloodstained map yet, but also a complete day and night cycle that actively affects your experience and changes the way in which you interact with the world by offering different gameplay opportunities depending on each given time frame. To top it all off, you'll get a wealth of customization possibilities through the diverse appearance options and crafting system on offer here, the latter of which will allow you to forge a variety of different armor pieces, each one carrying unique statistics. It should be noted that while the Scarlet Engagement does feature narrative connections to Ritual of the Night, knowledge of the previous game will not be necessary in order to enjoy this one. As a huge fan of Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, I honestly cannot wait to get my hands on the Scarlet Engagement. Bloodstained: The Scarlet Engagement is expected to come out sometime in 2026 and has been confirmed for PC, PS5, as well as the Xbox Series X and Series S. Aeterna Lucis is the much-awaited sequel to the significantly popular and immensely difficult Aeterna Noctis. Following the events of the first game, you now take control of the Queen of Light, who awakens to find the world teetering at the edge of the void and goes on a crusade to save existence itself by challenging the supreme god of chaos. Staying true to its predecessor, Aeterna Lucis will feature fast-paced combat and, most importantly, dementedly challenging platforming that will test your reflexes and observation levels to their fullest extent by throwing a legion of imaginatively cruel acrobatic segments on your path, which will be complemented by on-point level design that enforces freedom of movement. Aeterna Lucis is one of the most highly anticipated Metroidvanias of the past few years, and if the trailer is any indication, it seems like it will live up to and even surpass expectations. Aeterna Lucis is expected to come out sometime in 2026 and has been confirmed for PC, PS4, PS5, Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, as well as the Xbox Series X and Series S. Cathedral Crow's Curse functions as a prequel to Cathedral, a tough-as-nails Metroidvania that came out back in October of 2019. Step into the shadows as an agile, cloaked rogue who must go up against the ancient forces that prowl his land in an effort to uncover the root cause of a curse that plagues it. Cathedral Crow's Curse will shed light to the events that led to the story of the first game, though knowledge of the original is not necessary to enjoy this one. The prequel will place a lot of emphasis on both stealth mechanics that will help you to approach enemies undetected for some backstabbing action, as well as a parry-based combat system that will have you blocking enemy attacks in an effort to find openings that will allow you to land a fatal blow. To that end, you'll get the chance to unlock numerous upgrades that will make you more lethal in battle, as well as several skills related to exploration and map traversal. The game also boasts a sprawling, interconnected world packed with meaningful side quests to tackle, on top of optional puzzles and mysteries to engage with. Cathedral Crow's Curse is expected to come out sometime in 2026 and has been confirmed for PC as well as unspecified consoles. Next we have OTHERSIDE, Untamed Worlds. Somewhere in the depths of a sprawling woodland, the once prosperous ancient beast kingdom lies abandoned following its devastation from a relentless plague. Decades later, promises of wealth, knowledge, and power rumored to have been left behind inside the kingdom's ruins become a magnet for many tribes seeking to increase their influence, leading them to endless strife. You play as a hunter who awakens after a long slumber and decides to venture down the fallen realm in order to uncover its secrets. The game is quite combat oriented, boasting more than 120 unique enemies, including formidable bosses, all of whom you will have to take on while utilizing your incredible sword skills as well as the power of your brush and ink, which will allow you to unlock powerful fighting techniques, as well as conquer a variety of different puzzles and platforming challenges. Your combat playstyle will be further enhanced via the use of rune words, a type of collectible that you will be able to equip in order to tailor gameplay to your own tastes. It should also be mentioned that there will be a choice system implemented here, through which you'll get to make various decisions related to the narrative, which will have an impact on the outcome of the story. Though it did suffer from an unsuccessful Kickstarter campaign that may influence its release schedule, OTHERSIDE Untamed Worlds is currently expected to come out sometime in 2026 and has been confirmed for PC. Rune Fencer Illyia is an intense action Metroidvania title with a heavy focus on action, platforming, and exploration. Here you step into the boots of Illyia of Moonstone, a runist who wakes up in the debris of an airship she had been traveling on. Realizing that her twin sister is missing, Illyia ventures out into the unknown world of Ethos in order to locate her sibling and find the way back home. The game features fast-paced combat with fully customizable equipment builds in order for you to adapt your playstyle according to your preferences, which you'll have to master given the more than 150 enemies populating the setting. As Illyia, you will get to explore 15 distinct atmospheric biomes full of hidden areas, lore pieces, and upgrades, as well as experience intense boss battles that will challenge your fighting skills. Of special note is the game's visual presentation, with its pixel-perfect art style doing wonders when portraying the fantastic world you'll get to explore. Rune Fencer Illyia is expected to come out sometime in 2026 and has been confirmed for PC, Nintendo Switch, PlayStation, and Xbox consoles. Mira and the Legend of the Djinns is a Metroidvania inspired by Moroccan culture and spiritual traditions. Taking place in the ruined world of Amashgesh, you step into the boots of Yuba, a treasure hunter whose latest venture has led him to the depths of an ancient necropolis. Down there, Yuba discovers Mira, the first Djinn to be seen in generations, whose memories appear to be eluding her. Agreeing to help her get back her recollections, Yuba forms a bond with Mira and, together, they embark on an epic journey during which they will meet a variety of interesting, friendly and hostile characters, discover ancient weapons and artifacts, as well as unearth the long-lost lore that will reveal the reason of the cataclysmic event that ended Amashgesh in the first place. As Yuba and Mira, you will get to use a variety of different spells, abilities, weapons and tools at your disposal in order to defeat your foes, as well as solve puzzles and explore the vast world in search of secrets. Of note here is the fact that the game also features a side quest system that will lead you to some of the rarest items you can find, as well as a skill tree that will enhance your combat and environmental traversal capabilities. Mira and the Legend of the Djinns is expected to release sometime in 2026 for PC, and there are rumors for a Nintendo Switch release as well, though those are unverified unfortunately. LUCID is a Metroidvania game featuring challenging precision platforming reminiscent of games like Celeste. The story takes place in the realm of Aeterna following a cataclysmic event known as the Great Fall, which sent the world off balance by destroying a being known as the Lucid Giant. You take on the role of Owen, a creature that embarks on a quest across this shattered world in order to fulfill a promise. On his way, he will come across an eclectic cast of characters, some of which will be friendly while others hostile, but all of them with their own interesting stories to tell and quests to give. World-wise, Aeterna is a beautifully rendered realm that features a diverse range of biomes, each one filled to the brim with secrets to discover, enemies and bosses to defeat, as well as challenging platforming to brave and rich lore to uncover. The interconnected map can be explored in non-linear fashion, giving you the freedom to approach game completion on your own terms. LUCID is expected to come out sometime in spring of 2026 and has been confirmed for PC, PS4, PS5, Nintendo Switch, as well as the Xbox Series X and Series S.
Our Maker has forsaken us.
We were all created by man for a specific purpose. We're all Forgotlings.
Forgotlings is a cinematic action-adventure Metroidvania with a breathtaking art style. The world of Forgotlings is one of lost things looking for a purpose, a place created by the collective memories of humanity. You are Fig, a posing doll that's also the captain of a sentient ship known as Volair, and together you will set sail across the Forgotten Lands as you try to save everyone from a looming threat of unknown origins by bringing as many Forgotlings together as possible. These bonds can be forged either through diplomatic conversation or by playing a game of Ina, a popular tabletop pastime. In terms of combat, Forgotlings gives you the option to either confront your enemies head-on or stealth past them, effectively allowing you to approach conflict on your own terms. Forgotlings is currently slated for release sometime during the first quarter of 2026 and has been confirmed for PC first, with PS4, PS5, Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, as well as Xbox Series X and Series S releases either simultaneously with PC or shortly after.
From the truth.
Like this.
The truth does not always bring salvation.
The Perfect Pencil is a surreal action platformer Metroidvania game with a deep philosophical narrative. Here you join John, a man who awakens in an unfamiliar hand-drawn kingdom and is quickly forced to face the terrors hiding within his mind. The story is one that touches upon personal development and the psychology of fear, themes that will also be punctuated by the environment you will get to navigate. As John, you will be in possession of a special ability that lets you see things others cannot, effectively allowing you to uncover hidden information about characters you will get to meet, as well as bring hidden objects and areas to light. The Perfect Pencil seems to be taking an interesting storytelling approach by focusing on the human condition and tackling some mature themes, and if it plays its hand right, it could end up being a standout in the genre. As a matter of fact, I got a chance to play and cover the demo of the Perfect Pencil during the Steam Next Fest of February 2025, and it was a fantastic experience, so I'm expecting great things from it. The Perfect Pencil is expected to release on the 29th of January 2026 and has been confirmed for PC and Nintendo Switch. Volunteer the Ascension is a Metroidvania adventure boasting a beautiful hand-drawn art style. The realm of Raoa is a magical world where all of its denizens live in peace under the watchful eye of their benevolent pantheon. That's until a seed of corruption takes root among the deities, tilting the balance of the land and bringing about pain and suffering through endless war. You embody Hira, a boy whose mysterious past could make him the last hope of Raoa's salvation. The game features a massive, colorful interconnected world to explore, full of puzzles to solve, secrets to uncover, enemies to beat, and allies to forge relationships with, which will also be an important gameplay system since cultivating relationships with characters you meet will also lead to the acquisition of new abilities. Of important note here is the fact that Volunteer will also incorporate a choice system which will impact the realm around you, meaning that Raoa will evolve based on decisions you will make on your journey. There's also a small aspect of coziness thrown into the mix, since you will be able to customize and personalize the temple that will function as your base in the world. Volunteer the Ascension is expected to come out sometime during the first quarter of 2026 and has been confirmed for PC, PS4, PS5, Nintendo Switch, and Xbox consoles.
You awaken.
Mio Memories in Orbit is a Metroidvania game inspired by the arts of comics, painting, and anime, all set upon a science fiction foundation. Here you embody Mio, a nimble robot that awakens inside the vessel, a huge spacecraft drifting aimlessly across the cosmos, its initial purpose now lost in time, its ruined interior taken over by overgrown vegetation and machines gone rogue. Your task is to dive into the depths of the vessel in order to reawaken its AI caretakers before the craft shuts down completely, in the process uncovering its lost memories and realizing your true nature and destiny. The vessel is home to a variety of different biomes, each with its own enemies to face, secrets to discover, and challenges to overcome. What is of interest here is that you will be able to modify Mio by scavenging parts from your defeated enemies, with each said part offering different modifiers that will allow you to customize your approach to combat and exploration as you see fit. Whether you wish to adopt an aggressive approach of meeting your foes head-on, or a more dexterous tactic where evasion and speed are of the essence, it is up to you to tailor things to your preferred playstyle. Mio Memories in Orbit is expected to come out on the 20th of January 2026 and has been confirmed for PC, PS4, PS5, Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, as well as the Xbox Series X and Series S. Dai's Soul Link is a Metroidvania featuring elements of action RPGs. It is the year 2097 and humanity is still trying to recover from the destructive effects brought about by climate change 40 years ago. In this new world, the symbiotic connection known as Soul Link has been discovered, an intense spiritual relationship between a human and an animal that allows them to share thoughts, sensations, and vitality without losing individual thought. Enter Kiro and Chloe, a fox and a girl who are forced forcibly separated, causing them great distress as their soul link suffers. Now weakened, Kiro embarks on a bloody quest to get Chloe back before both of them meet an untimely end. By far the standout aspect of this game is the extensive customization of Kiro's combat approach and efficiency via the use of numerous skills you can find and slot, as well as several equipable items that will offer both offensive and defensive capabilities, all of which you can mix and match to play around with different builds. Tai's Soul Link is expected to release sometime around July of 2026 and has been confirmed for PC and Nintendo Switch. SELINI is a Metroidvania inspired by games like Inside, Hyper Light Drifter, and Environmental Station Alpha, as well as Greek culture. You take on the mantle of a lone replicant on the run from a war-torn metropolis, who goes on a journey across a cryptic dystopian world in search of meaning and understanding. SELINI follows a largely minimalistic approach in both visuals and storytelling, choosing to convey its narrative through environmental observation and body language interpretation in order to increase emotional investment. It also takes a non-linear approach to exploration, allowing you to forge your own path across its desolate landscape through the use of various traversal and exploration related abilities such as gliding, dashing, and double jumping, just to name a few. There is a big emphasis on puzzle solving here, with the game's conundrums ranging from simplistic to complex and multi-layered, thus allowing you to flex your mental muscles. That being said, combat does have its place here as well, given that many of the entities you will come across will be aggressive and attack you on sight. SELINI is expected to come out sometime during the first quarter of 2026 and has been confirmed for PC and Nintendo Switch. Emberbane is a Metroidvania experience that draws inspiration from the universe of Avatar: The Last Airbender and places focus on precision platforming. The game transpires in a mystical land that suffers under the oppressive presence of malevolent gods. You are Illyia, a woman on a journey to master the four elements in order to exact vengeance on the dark powers that siphoned every ounce of hope out of this once thriving realm. With the power of water, fire, earth, and air in your possession, the game offers a diverse range of potential combos at your disposal, making combat exciting and at the same time strategic, since you will have to make swift decisions on what sort of elemental synergy will be best at any given situation. Combat aside, Emberbane features an incredibly fluid platforming system, with each element giving you different traversal possibilities, all of which will be necessary to overcome the acrobatic challenges of its world, a lot of the time by switching between powers during a single platforming set piece. Platforming truly is a standout aspect of Emberbane, since its world has been meticulously crafted to accommodate the possibilities offered by the extensive powers in your possession. Bosses are also of note here, with the game's villains necessitating keen observation, tactical thinking, and snappy reflexes in order to be taken down. Emberbane is expected to come out sometime in January of 2026 and has been confirmed for PC, PS5, Nintendo Switch, as well as the Xbox Series X and Series S. Little Nemo and the Guardians of Slumberland is a colorful Metroidvania experience based on the popular fictional character of the same name, who was created back in October of 1905. Don the warm pajamas of the titular Nemo, a young boy whose imagination runs rampant when he's asleep, giving birth to the magical realm of Slumberland, a place ripe for discovery. Needless to say, Slumberland is not all fun and games, with its imaginative biomes being home to treacherous traps as well as powerful bosses and their minions. While in Slumberland, you will get to discover Nemo's toys, each one granting you unique abilities that will help with combat and exploration, such as a yo-yo that allows you to cross over dangerous terrain, or a pogo stick which can be used to perform high jumps. You will also obtain different types of pajamas, which you can switch between while awake in Nemo's room, with each pair changing your appearance as well as having different synergies with your toys. The game also boasts some accessibility features that will allow both casual as well as experienced experienced players to enjoy the adventure on their own terms, though the exact nature of said features remains to be seen. Little Nemo and the Guardians of Slumberland is expected to come out sometime during the first quarter of 2026 and has been confirmed for PC, with a Nintendo Switch release coming shortly after. Mariachi Legends is probably one of the most well-known Metroidvanias on this list on account of its developer having also created the high-profile 9 Years of Shadows back in 2023, which is widely known for its phenomenal visuals. Step into the boots of Pablo Cruz, a detective who has struck a deal with death herself in order to receive immense power so that he can protect his hometown of Santa Mascota from an increasing number of criminals plaguing it. In exchange for his supernatural abilities, Death has asked him to bring her the only man to have ever defied her power and achieved immortality. Mariachi Legends features incredibly detailed and visceral combat, with a vast array of weapons and sub-weapons such as guns, swords, and whips, allowing a lot of freedom and creativity when it comes to dealing with enemies, including some satisfying finishers for good measure. Aside from weapons, you'll also come across different tarot cards, each one presenting you with different abilities. That being said, Pedro is first and foremost a detective, a vocation that definitely comes in handy when it comes to the various corpses strewn around your town, crimes which you will have to solve via exploration as well as interrogation of suspects, with Santa Mascota becoming more and more alive the more you deal with its bad actors, eventually blooming from a withered settlement to a vibrant town as new shops are opened and new characters come to inhabit it, opening the way for a variety of side quests. The game also boasts a day and night cycle, with each time frame offering its own set of distinct challenges, making the experience of the same area a different situation in terms of enemies and secrets depending on your time of traversal. On a last note, you'll also get a chance to practice your culinary skills as you discover recipes and food ingredients which result in delicious dishes that grant you different benefits. Mariachi Legends is expected to come out sometime during the second quarter of 2026 and has been confirmed for PC and Nintendo Switch. I know I said I'll only include games that have been reported as 2026 releases to some capacity, but I do need to make an honorable mention to Crowsworn since it recently presented new gameplay footage which has led people to speculate that the developers are preparing for a 2026 release date reveal. Thus, I want to have all my bases covered. This is a visually breathtaking Metroidvania Souls-like title and definitely one of the most anticipated games in the genre at the moment. Transpiring in the forsaken, cursed kingdom of Faeland, Crowsworn thrusts you into the role of an unnamed man in a plague doctor's mask as you suddenly awaken with no recollection of who you are or what your purpose is. In an attempt to regain your lost memories, you embark on a treacherous journey across an unforgiving world, fighting for your life every step of the way. The game draws clear inspiration from Hollow Knight, Castlevania, and Bloodborne, as well as Devil May Cry for its combat, with the latter's influence being evident in the over-the-top combos you can perform during your clashes. Exploration-wise, you'll get to navigate a large, interconnected realm filled with deadly foes, platforming challenges, and secrets to reveal, some of which will only be accessible after you have gained certain special abilities. Crowsworn has no release date as of yet, but has been confirmed for PC, PS4, PS5, Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, as well as the Xbox Series X. Aggelos 2 is the sequel to the very well-received Aggelos that came out back in 2018. Soar with the wings of Aggelos, a powerful angel that is sent on a mission to fight back against the army of darkness that's trying to overtake the world of light. However, you're not just a regular angel, but one that also has a demonic side, which is where the game's main gimmick comes into play. More specifically, the setting you'll get to traverse is one where the realms of light and darkness intertwine, and the only way for you to fully explore them is through your ability to switch between your angel and demon forms, which allow you to fully interact with each respective theme. Said form switching will also play a pivotal role in combat, since certain enemies will be susceptible to one of the two powers at different moments and will require you to change on the fly in order to deal damage, which should lead to some memorable boss battles against the 13 different big bads on offer here. I cannot overstate how much this game's visuals and overall vibe speak to me in terms of nostalgia, making this a personal day one purchase. Aggelos 2 is expected to come out sometime in 2026 and has been confirmed for PC, PS4, PS5, Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, as well as the Xbox Series X and Series S. Moving on, there's Tales of Fate. The land of Fauna has been engulfed in conflict due to a mysterious sequence of events orchestrated by someone hiding in the dark. Join the fighter trio of Reynard, Varken and Cole, three companions who go on a mission to save Fauna from its looming doom. Your travels will take you across a wonderfully vibrant setting, with the overworld map traversal occurring in classic RPG isometric fashion before reaching an area of interest, at which point we have a switch to the classic side-scrolling Metroidvania perspective. Each character carries their own combat style, from a stealthy approach using a crossbow to the close and personal style of the heavy greatsword, while being capable of switching between characters at will, thus weaving battle methods seamlessly for maximum damage. Adding to that are the more than 100 distinct items available to find and equip, many of which you can forge using the game's crafting system, with which you can experiment in order to tailor your playstyle to your own tastes. Of note here is the central tavern of OTHERSIDE, a place where you can go to rest and chat with fellow adventurers, with said conversations occasionally leading to side quests. Tales of Fate is expected to come out sometime in 2026 and has been confirmed for PC, PS4, PS5, Nintendo Switch 2, as well as the Xbox Series X and Series S. Trizna is a Metroidvania Souls-like hybrid that draws inspiration from Slavic culture and mythology. You are an unknown warrior resurrected by a witch that binds your will to hers and wants to use you as a tool to fight against her opponents. Unable to resist, you are forced to do her bidding as you are unleashed across a magnificently mystical world where each biome has taken shape from the fears, aspirations, hopes, and ideas of humanity. To your fortune, the more you explore the world, the more you will get the opportunity to break away from the witch's spell until eventually your will is once again your own, and it will be up to you to decide whether to side with her of your own volition, join her enemies, or remain a puppet to forces bigger than your comprehension. Trizna will feature a vast world to explore where everything is not as it seems, since behind the veil of the scene lies the Shadow Realm, an unstable side of the world that you are able to visit, which will allow you to pass through otherwise impassable obstacles as well as discover treasures that would have potentially stayed in obscurity. It also boasts a deep combat system that gives you the chance to develop your own magical and battle skills to suit your playstyle, with an equally intricate equipment structure that allows micromanagement of armor pieces like helmets, breastplates, leggings, braces, amulets, and shields, as well as a variety of melee and ranged weapons to choose from. Trizna is expected to come out sometime in 2026 and has been confirmed for PC. Voivod the Nuclear Warrior is a Metroidvania inspired by the Canadian heavy metal band Voivod. In a dystopian world full of war-torn cities, mechanical wastelands, and legions of cosmic horrors, you are thrust into the role of the Voivod, a warrior guided by his own disembodied mind as he searches for the fragments of his consciousness. The game's story draws inspiration from across the entirety of the band's discography and will incorporate familiar themes and references for fans, though it's safe to say that people unfamiliar familiar with Voivod's work will be able to enjoy it as well, given how great the footage looks. Combat will be of central importance here, with elements of classic run and gun titles permeating gameplay and resulting in fast-paced battle instances that will get your adrenaline going. There are also certain RPG elements present here in the form of your ability to upgrade your weapons and skills in order to tailor things to your preferred playstyle. Of special note are the massive abominations that function as the game's bosses, all of whom are inspired by the band's album cover artwork. Voivod, the Nuclear Warrior, is expected to come out sometime in the last quarter of 2026 and has been confirmed for PC, Nintendo Switch, as well as PlayStation and Xbox consoles. Faeland is a fantasy metroidvania title inspired by classics of the 8-bit era. The story takes place in a fantasy world where humans have done their best to build a kingdom while at the same time trying to maintain a safe distance from dark forces and monstrous beasts that lurk away from civilization. You take on the role of Sam, a skilled hunter living in a secluded cottage who is forced on the run when his home is raided by a group of vicious orcs and trolls. Barely escaping with his life, Sam embarks on a journey across the world in search of safety, not knowing that a large threat is slowly rising in the horizon and that he may be the realm's only hope for survival. Faeland will have you traverse an expansive world full of forests, caves, dungeons, and castles, all of which will be home to their own allies, secrets, as well as deadly threats. The game will feature a diverse arsenal of armaments for you to strike down your enemies with, as well as a side quest system that will allow you to obtain valuable loot as you inch closer to realizing your destiny as the savior of these lands. Faeland came out in early access back in December of 2023 and is expected to come out of it sometime during the first quarter of 2026, at which point it will become available for PC as well as unspecified consoles. Last but definitely not least, we have Well Dweller, the latest Metroidvania game from the legend that is Kyle Thompson, the creative mind behind three beloved games, namely Sheepo, Islets, and Crypt Custodian. Deep within the forest, at the bottom of a well, lies a dark, withered kingdom under the rule of an oppressive queen. You are Glimmer, a tiny bird that goes on a quest to defeat the wicked ruler with nothing but a matchstick as a weapon in an effort to save his family from her wrath. According to Kyle himself, Well Dweller aims to offer a fully cohesive world to explore, as well as try and do a few new things with ability gating, with skills that are quite multi-purpose and have a direct effect on traversal. One key element of Well Dweller is the aforementioned matchstick you wield as an armament, which is not only relevant to combat but also exploration, since there will be certain instances where you will have to keep it lit in order to illuminate your way. My excitement for this game doesn't originate only from the developer's stellar track record, but also from the fact that there is a relative pivot toward the horror theme, if the trailer is any indication, which is my bread and butter when it comes to narrative and visual genres. Well Dweller is expected to come out sometime in 2026 and has been confirmed for PC and Nintendo Switch. And thus concludes this epic list, dear friends. With games like these, I think it is safe to say that 2026 has more than what's necessary to be another magnificent year for Metroidvanias. That being said, I'm curious to hear about your own most anticipated titles, so do let me know in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, please consider liking, sharing, and hyping it, as well as subscribing to the channel. Until next time, Soulsborne Seeker out.